Hi, everybody. Welcome to Dan on Sports. Well, it is official. Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen will be back as coach and general manager of the New York Giants for the 2025 season. I'm not surprised. We'll get to that in just a moment, but I want to start out by saying John Mara, the co-owner of the Giants, said something very interesting in his news conference today, and that is it's not a given the Giants are going to draft a quarterback with a number 3 pick in the first round. Now, those were not his exact words, but what he did say was the number one priority for the Giants is to get that quarterback of the future. But here's what he said. Whether that be draft or acquiring a veteran will be up to them to decide. Them, meaning General Manager Joe Schoen and Coach Brian Daboll. And I think this is fascinating because if you take a look at the quarterback field for the upcoming 2025 draft, it's not all that big. I mean, I know you got Shedeur Sanders who's out there, and then you also have Cam Ward, but that's really about it. I mean, it's very possible you could get your quarterback of the future in the second round. There also are some free agent quarterbacks out there that if you draft a young quarterback, you also sign a free agent. Russell Wilson is going to be a free agent. Kirk Cousins is going to be a free agent. So Sam Darnold, I don't think he'd come back to New York, but there are going to be some free agents out there. My point of the commentary is it is not a given that the Giants are going to automatically draft a quarterback with that third pick. What is a given is what the owner, John Mara, has said is a priority. The Giants have to get their quarterback situation straightened out. But again, what he said, and it might fly under the radar screen, but to me, it's really right up there. We've got to establish who's going to be the quarterback, whether it's by way of the draft or by way of a trade. And let's face it, the Giants, like I said, they could draft a quarterback, even if it's in the second round, go out and sign one of the free agent quarterbacks to give that drafted quarterback a chance to develop, or they might be able to package a deal with that first-round pick and go out and get a young, established NFL quarterback. Now, I don't think it's going to happen with Cincinnati. I know I've talked to some of my friends who are Giants fans who would love to see the Giants package a deal with that number 1 pick and go out and get Joe Burrow. That's not going to happen. But if you're a Giants fan, it's nice to dream, isn't it? If you could have Joe Burrow as a quarterback, but it's not going to happen. But I do think the Giants could go a couple of ways here. Actually, they could go 3 ways. Draft a quarterback in that first round or even in the second round, go out and sign a free agent quarterback, or they can and have that free agent quarterback help to develop that drafted quarterback, or they could package a deal with that first-round pick with a team and trying to get an established quarterback. But John Mara is absolutely correct when he says that is the number one priority. Now, I understand why Mara is bringing this dynamic duo back. You can't keep changing coaches and general managers every 2 or 3 seasons. You just can't do it. It's not good for the franchise. It's certainly not good for the program. It's impossible to keep changing and hope to establish some kind of continuity with your football team. Now, Mara did say, if I'm standing here next year and we're having this same conversation, obviously there are changes that's going to be made. Bottom line is, the Giants have to play at least 9-8 next year. They cannot go without having a winning season next year. Ideally, I think in order for Schoen and for Daboll to save their jobs, they have to make the playoffs. But, let's say they go 10-6 or whatever, 9-8. It would be 10-7, 10-7 or 9-8, and don't make the playoffs. And some seasons that happens. Well, they probably save their jobs, but they cannot have a losing record. 8-9 is not going to cut it. 8-9, they're gone. Now, although Mara was quick to point out that obviously he was not happy with that 3-14 record, he did mention the Giants did have a good draft this past season. A lot of these young players, rookies, got the chance to get their feet wet. And that's why in the end, he had to keep both Daboll and Schoen. Although, if you read the stories, apparently it was not a given going into the weekend that these guys are going to keep their jobs. They had meetings on Friday. They had discussions on Saturday. There also was discussions with the co-owner, Steve Tisch, about the future of the franchise. But in the end, I think common sense prevailed. And common sense is you cannot keep changing regimes. But in conclusion, remember what Mara said. They have to establish who the number one quarterback on this team is going to be going forward. But it is not a given that quarterback is going to be acquired in the first round of the draft. It's very possible the Giants could make a deal for an established quarterback. That's going to do it for Dan on Sports. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my newsletter. You can do that by going to sportscasterdan.com.